All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another week here at Wire Differently. We have me, Christina Blue Hooper, your business designer, Victoria Caldwell, your fractional COO and people systems expert, and Mindset Melanie Branch, the expert at getting your brain to behave so that you can do what you need to do. All right. Today's topic is what to do when you lack clarity and focus. So I am anticipating lots of soapbox moments because this is
Mm,
something we all feel so passionate about that you have to have the ability to focus and you have to have clarity to know what to focus on, right? Like both of those things are super crucial and important. So let's kick it off. I know Victoria's feeling pretty saucy about this topic this morning, so let's let her dive in. And what
I
does this
think
mean to
we
you?
probably all are. But somebody in my position, I guess, when you're in that second in command position and you're looking to drive the organization forward, one of the main things, if the owner and the entrepreneur, the founder doesn't have clarity and focus, the ship is not moving. It's not moving. And everyone's going to be frustrated. And it's basically like, they say if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So, when you get in your,
Ooh,
right?
ooh.
If you don't
I
know where
like
you,
that one. I hope everybody internalizes that just a minute because we all struggle with shiny objects, right? And when you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. That is why shiny objects keep moving you in a lot of directions and not actually forward. Sorry,
right?
had to.
No, and I appreciate that because it's a perfect analogy. Like if you get in your car, what does it want? And you put the GPS, it says destination. Without a destination, you can just drive and drive.
Yeah.
And you'll move, but you won't move to where you want to go because it doesn't know where you want to go. And so it's the same with your business, it's the same with your team, with anyone who's trying to help you. Without that direction which you're leading, you can't one get the right people.
Yeah.
The right people can't help you get there because we don't know where we're going. So it's really important because I've seen it play out so many times, and especially in the earlier stages of business, you might not always know exactly, but it's important to. I like to do it this way to really sit down and focus on that. And even if you have to do it in categories, I like to do it in categories, listing the values. How do I want my life to how do I want to live my life, but more importantly, probably how do I want when my life is done, what do I want to have accomplished in different areas of my life? You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you can do this however you want to do it, but I like to break it down into things that are my values, what are, my goals and values. But, like for me, one is, faith, spirit, spirituality. That's for me a primary advantage, not for everyone, right? How do I want that to look? Family, my finances, my career, how do I want that to look? And then when you start drawing it, you start getting a clearer picture, and then you know what direction. And shiny objects won't derail you as much, but you got to stay focused on it. Means you have to come sometimes, depending on the way your brain works, you might have to look at it every day and remind yourself.
Yeah.
I've noticed that with a lot of my creative clients, I have to focus them daily. Not everyone needs that, but it's like daily. And I learned this from one of my coaches who's also a creator. And I was like, why is she over here doing this? And she was like, you have to manage that mind. You know? She's like, you have to manage that mind. Give her daily things to focus on. I was like, every day? She needs
Yeah,
focus every
yeah,
day.
every day.
And
Every
so, and
day.
it worked. So I
Yeah.
would get in the morning before she went off and doing all of this other stuff. And I would ask, and I'm like, what are you working on? And it would be some random stuff. And I'm like, why are you doing that? I only need you to do one thing, just one thing, which is create the product that we're selling. Like, that's it. I got everything else. Just do that. And so it was really, it was a very big learning experience for me because I was just really stepping into that. So, but it explained why she had been, going in circles for such a long time. because that focus was very, very hard, and that clarity. So that is, so I like to do it that way, get a clear picture, and then start moving. And then you'll start to notice what things fit and what things do not fit. So when people come in and start giving you, oh, you should do this, or you should do that, and you should do that, which only makes you more and more confused, it won't derail you as much, because you know, okay, is this going to get me to this destination? If it's not, you abandon it. And so, I mean, that's a Cliff Notes version, but what I see with a lot of just people in general, a lot of the problems come from that lack of clarity, and they just start doing stuff to have some kind of momentum, which really they're just, you know, it's like the hamster on a wheel. They're moving, they're running. It's just that they're not going forward.
Yeah, especially when you start to get bored. It's so easy to be like, things are starting to work, it's starting to get boring, and now I need to do something else, right? Like, I need to spice it up, I need to change it up, I need to do something, right? Now, Melanie, what does this topic mean to you, right? Because you're dealing with neurodivergent entrepreneurs, ADHDers, autistic people. Clarity and focus for our people has a whole different can of worms.
Yes.
To Victoria's point of having to give somebody direction every day, I believe what's most important to be able to have clarity and focus at a high level and each and every day, right? So you know what your big mission is, you know what your big goals are, and then you are able to break them down into the bite-sized pieces that create the habits that lead you into that version of yourself that would be able to pull off the $1 million business and all those sort of things, right? The secret to accessing clarity and focus is your creativity. If you cannot protect your creativity and then use her whenever you need her, if you are working yourself to the bone and you're exhausted and you're getting up every day and you're like, okay, what do I have to do now? La, 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 la. There's no joy. There's no fun. So what the fuck does it matter what we're doing? Like, you have an interest-based nervous system. So if you want to be able to sit down and get through a project with focus and not be checking your phone every 10 seconds, then you have to be acting on your passions. And it may not be, because we all have the boring shit and administrative stuff that we have to do in business. And your brain's not going to give you the go-go juice to do that if you're not balancing out with a fun thing too.
Yeah.
Productivity is great and all, but productivity actually is just how much can you get done in this amount of time. Productivity is a percentage, right? Productivity is a fraction. Productivity is not the thing that we want to be proud of and tell everybody about. Like, getting the one little tiny phone call done to find out how much the tire is going to be is way more productive, because you're going to get that off your mind, right? The thing that, like Christina said the other day, I've been having some car things going on and I have to call people, and we were on campus together, and the next day she goes, you blew me away just picking up the phone and calling all those people. And I was like, girl, listen, I hate being on the phone. I have auditory processing issues. If I don't have subtitles, I don't have your face, I don't know what you're saying. But it had to get done, and I'm just no longer willing to live my life in that state of angst of like, oh God, all these things that I have to do, I hate them. Just do them. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go. And then let's go get a latte to celebrate.
It's so funny because I process better auditorily, so I don't have to see your face or whatever, but I have to hear you.
Yeah, I can't process at all. I'm the same as Melanie on that. Like, I just cannot. If I can't, that's why I hate phone calls. Like, if you're just going to impromptu call me and I'm not like prepared, I don't know the topic, I have no context for the conversation, I can't anchor it back, right?
Yeah.
Like, when we have context, we at least can kind of guess maybe on the things that we're hearing, and like that womp 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 sounded like, over to the left and stuff. But without the context, we can't fill in the gaps. So impromptu phone calls are big no-nos. Don't like those. If I know going in, I stand a better chance. But yeah, I love this topic though. And I think, like, for me, this one shows up a lot with my clients, and I don't love my business anymore. I don't love what I'm doing anymore. I've fallen out of love with it. It's just not lighting me up anymore. It's not exciting me anymore. It's not, right? So that's usually how it shows up for me. And these two are being super nice because they've been helping me through the same thing, right? Because we have one of my businesses, the Academy, that I loved so much when we first started it. And as it progressed, and I'm going to be a little vulnerable here so you guys can hopefully learn from this and from how
I'll
they've
hold
been
your
able to
hand.
help me. Right? Like as it progressed, I started falling out of love with it. I'm like, I'm not seeing students get the results that I wanted to see, right? Like they're happy, they're enjoying it, they love coming to campus, but I want to move their business forward. I don't want them to just feel good about it. I want them to actually move, right? And some of them are moving, some of them are getting great results, right? We've got good students, but overall, I wasn't happy. And so I started pulling back. I wasn't on campus as much. I was hiding and making courses. I wasn't talking about it as much. I wasn't marketing as much. And over the last week or so, both of these amazing women have sat me down and been like, all right, we need to know what's in your brain. This academy is amazing. The mission that we're shooting for is amazing. And you don't seem lit up by it anymore. So what is going on? Right. So Victoria has spent like the last, month on just helping me get clarity and focus across all of my businesses. She's like, all right, what is your mission? What are you doing? Melanie's like, now that you've done that, what do we need to do to get you out of your way? Right? Like we need to do things. Do we need body double sessions? Do we need what's up? Do we need deadlines? What's happening? What are we doing? Where are we at? Where are we going? Because we need to get it. We need to get her done. You have the plan now. Let's execute. Right. So having the right people in your life, no matter what they did, until we got clarity and focus on what it was I was wanting and what I wanted to achieve, they were tugging 1,000-pound weight. I was the 1,000-pound weight holding them back. And they are powerhouse women that could have probably done it all without me. But I was such a weight on them as the person who didn't have the clarity and focus that it was holding us all back. Right. So one, be super excited because the academy is about to just really glow up in a huge way. Because we have mapped it all out. We do have that mission. We do have that clarity and focus. And for me, it was about creating impact. I needed to know what the end result was, right? Like the academy is going to continue to grow. It's going to fulfill that mission from startup to retirement, right? Like that's the goal. But I needed it to be smaller so that we could get really focused. And I teach students this too. Solve one problem really well for your clients, then expand. And I wasn't following my own advice. Right. So we settled in on the problem being get to 10 case study level clients. And we sat down and thought about that. And like, what does that mean? It means you are lit up. You're enjoying it. Your client is lit up and enjoying it. You made a promise and you delivered it in a way that you can prove the result.
Yeah.
Right. Case study level clients. There are businesses who have been around for 10, 15, 20 years who have not collected 10 case study level results. Right. So the thing that does for you is unlocks scale, unlocks sustainable scale, right? Sustainable in a way that's not going to burn you out. Once you've done that, you've proven that I have a product people want. I have a product that changes lives. I have a product I enjoy selling. I have a product that does what it needs to do for me and my clients and my business. Now we can do it more.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what clarity and focus really can do when you have it. And can hurt when you don't.
Majorly.
Even the right people in your life, you hold them back. You cause so much stuff when you don't have clarity and focus. So excited about that.
This is really exciting and a wonderful topic because no one knows how. I mean, all of the stuff you just said, it's like, wow, yeah. Because when you talk about that 1,000-pound weight, or it literally is what it feels like on both ends, because the weight is on you as well. Because now you're like, why are we not moving forward? Like, why is this not happening or whatever? So you're stressed.
And I felt it.
You're
And I was
frustrated.
beating myself up for it. Like I felt that I was the weight. And I'm like, the students are going to do better. You guys are going to do better. Everything's going to be better if we can figure out why I'm being weighed down. Right? I didn't know what it was, but I felt it.
Yeah. And Melanie, we're like so gung-ho because we know what's out there. We know that there's at least I've been doing this for a very long time, over close to 20 years now. And the stages that we're focusing on right now, not that we won't get to the others, but right now is the stage of business where we need the most help, but there is no help. Why?
Yeah.
Obviously, because when you're starting out, there's not a lot of money. And it's hard for solopreneurs to really serve this particular market because they have to do so many. and there's not enough time and they burn out themselves. And then the larger ones, they want to focus on clients that have more money and everything. So that leaves you to figure it out on your own. And that's
Yeah.
very, very difficult. I mean, it's good when you get past that stage, but you kill yourself in the process. And the whole thing I was looking for, because I know that's not my strongest suit. I work better with organizations that have a team, but I was wrecking my brain trying to figure out, how do I support the earlier stages with what they need that early? And then I met Christina, and I thought, this is amazing. What Christina and Melanie, and I'm thinking, wow, this is exactly what this stage needs. And now I have I have a place to say, okay, go here, and we can all support at the levels that we can support, and the mentorship, and in a place that's really affordable. And it's like, wow, because this is the group that no one wants to help.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
they
it's
want to help.
challenging. I mean, this group doesn't have any proof of concept, right? Most other people, when you're dealing
Yeah.
with coaches, when you're dealing with marketing agencies, when you're dealing with course, creator specialists, and all these different people who are telling you what you need to do, social marketing, all this stuff, right? They're looking for somebody who has proven their concept. They have a product they've sold consistently and reliably. They have narrowed in on their target audience that needs it. They can prove that
Mhm.
they've gotten the results. They have testimonials. They have case studies. They're looking for people that have achieved that level, because now we can amplify. Right. I was the same, had a marketing agency for years and years, but I always felt called to the earlier startup businesses and just could not figure out, how do we crack that nut? How do we make it affordable? How do we make it predictable? These people are the most confused, with the least amount of clarity and the least amount of focus, and everybody's different. So it's not like, like if you're working with people who already have figured out what they want, you can say like, okay, I like e-commerce businesses that have already gotten specific results. When I do these things, everything works better. I'm looking for coaches that have already got these types of results. And when I do these things, everything works better, right? They pick a niche, they pick an industry, and they amplify the result. The
Yeah.
challenge is getting to the result in the first place. Right.
Right.
All these other things work once you've proven that. Once you know your who, once you know your how, once you know your why, right? They all work, they amplify. But to get to that is such a hard nut to crack. I mean,
is.
I've been at it for 18 years and trying to figure out a way to consistently do that, no matter what your purpose, no matter what your passion, no matter what your experience level, no matter no matter what business you're even going to build, right? We've got people that are doing everything from physical real estate type of things. Like we've got one student who's got a marketing agency, who's got intellectual IP, who literally just bought a hotel, who is setting up and it's all related, it's all connected, and it all makes sense. Right. So no matter where you're going, being able to plan that journey out, it was not easy. It was not easy. And I know Melanie can speak to this a little bit too. It's not just hard because they don't have this clarity and focus. It's also hard because they're doing everything, right? They're burned out. So when you walk up to somebody like that and you're like, I know you're already burning the candle at every end available, but I need you to give me an extra 10 hours a week to come to campus to do your homework, to work on these things. Right? It's hard to get somebody who's in that state to have time to do anything you're telling them to do.
Yeah.
All right. So Melanie, you want to speak to that a little bit? Like, what do you run into when you're dealing with people who come to you and they're burned out, they're overwhelmed, they have no idea up from down? I was one of those people.
I mean, burnout, and this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt every single person. But the astrology is good this week, so I feel comfortable saying this. Burnout is a direct result of you not believing that you're worthy of self-care. That's all it is. Burnout is you abandoning taking care of yourself because you have to take care of everybody else. No, you're just not taking care of yourself. You don't think that you're worthy of slowing down and working at your own pace. You don't think you're worthy of, that delicious bath, if that's what you are, or, going to get your hair done, or saying no to those plans with your extended family that you don't want to go to. You just don't take care of yourself and you get burned out. Because look at all of us, when we act on our passions and our special interests, we can do that. I can work on something for my business for 10 hours and I'll be fine. And I can go do fun things after it. Right. But if I am not doing things that fulfill me and nurture me, then I'm dead in the water. So if you're constantly burned out and you think, oh, I don't have time to wash my face at night. Oh, I don't have time to make food, or I don't have time, I have to order food and I can't eat healthy and I can't do this and I can't exercise because I'm just okay, cool. Then how do you plan on growing?
Mm-hmm.
How can you expand? If you can't even take care of yourself now, how do you expand? Maybe instead of thinking like, hey, I got to get bigger and I got to get better. And this is why a lot of business owners, even if you've been a service-based business for a long time, you're not going to get to 10 case study level clients if you keep changing what you sell.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between refining and changing.
Refining.
Yeah.
Oh, and they said, oh, I'm pivoting.
Yeah.
I'm pivoting. But one of the things I like teaching, which I'll be teaching in the academy, is that finding that flow, trying to give you all of the resources you need to make sure you are in that flow state. Yeah. And then from there, knowing what things take you out of that and how to get rid of it as soon as possible. And not do things that don't support you. So what, like Melanie said, just don't do them. Don't even go into that. Like you might be able to pivot for a little bit. And when I say pivot, I mean, you might spend a little bit of time doing this. And when I say 80% of your time in your flow in the other. Now, as an earlier stage entrepreneur, you're doing everything, but you're noticing those things that you need to get off your plate as soon as possible. Like as soon as
you
possible.
can adjust how you do things even, right? So like I was interviewed on a podcast and he was talking about what he was going through with like this course that he bought on how to do YouTube videos, and they were following every single step of it. And he said he hated making YouTube videos. They ended up just quitting that altogether and going and launching the podcast, which is a great podcast because they enjoy it, right? It's the style that they wanted. But even when he was doing the YouTube videos, he was trying to follow what someone else said to do every single step. Right. And if there were parts of that felt ick and uphill battle, change them, get rid of them. The end result is the video still goes out. Right. Yeah. The show still goes on. It's still fine. It's still fine. Right. So like not letting even these boring tasks, or find a way to keep the boring tasks from taking you out of flow. Like Melanie, when she's trying to like get some work done, she cranks her tunes up. She's sitting there bopping and dancing. She's not forcing herself to sit still even. She's like, okay, I'm going to type a little bit. And then she's like gone. I'll just look up and she's like disappeared. And she's like dancing in her kitchen or something for a second. And then she'll come back and she'll be like, here we go, right? Find a way to make the boring thing fun because you have to stay in flow.
You have to stay in flow. And without knowing what that is, it comes with knowing what gets you in flow and what takes you out. It comes with knowing what you're, like Melanie said earlier, what you're passionate about. You nail down a lot of these things, and you're working within, because I'm an execution person. I'm a people person, but everything out there is built by and for creators, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a creator, so I was always having to modify everything that I purchased because it was all built for the creators. I work with creators, so I consume it, but now I know this strategy is not going to work for me.
Yeah, or it's built.
It works for my clients, but it doesn't work for me. So I have to have I met one person who introduced me to this, who actually knew how to work with me as I am, not trying to make me be something that I wasn't. And it took me I fired a lot of coaches in the process because it worked for them. And I'm like, this is not me. It doesn't make sense to me. And I was so passionate about it that I went on this quest to make sure that no one had to feel like I did, struggling, trying to follow everyone else's process. And everyone has a process or a way of building their business, or it doesn't even have to be a business. It could just be, it could be a job or career that is most aligned to who you are and who you are naturally, your natural geniuses. Yeah. And so you follow the path and you follow, we get down to even following entrepreneurs and business leaders and thought leaders that have the same archetype, as opposed to following someone that doesn't. And you get so much inspiration because the way they talk and the way they do things, it just aligns. You just feel good about it.
Yeah.
And
That was one thing that I ran into with a lot of like masterminds or, business school type of environments where they had a lot of courses and they had a lot of instructors and they had a lot of mentors, and all of them had teams.
oh
Right. And
yeah,
when you're a solopreneur and they're sitting here telling you like, oh, this strategy is so great, right? And they're like walking through all the steps and you're sitting here going, I don't have enough brain cells to even keep up with all the steps you're talking about, let alone actually execute on
right.
even half of those. Right?
And
Like
they
that
will
works
tell
for
you that
you because
before
you
you
have a
buy.
person over here filling in the spreadsheet and gathering all your data. That works for you because you have a web developer over here building all your funnel pages. That works for you because you have a copywriter writing all your emails. You sat up on high and you said, here's a strategy with 1,000 steps. Go forth, team, and execute. Right. And like now you think that's going to work for a solopreneur? It's going to work
But
for
they
somebody
don't
with
tell you
attitude?
that before you buy.
Oh,
They
no,
just
they
say
never
all at
do.
once.
Yeah.
They
They
never tell you
never do
that
because
before
it's
you
your
buy.
fault for not being able to execute the thing, right? Like
Yeah.
if you buy it and you don't get the results because you didn't try hard enough. It's because you didn't build the thing. It's because you didn't execute the thing. And it's like the thing with 1,000 steps and 10 different specialties that built it for you. That thing I didn't execute,
Exactly.
right? So
That's
you
the
won't
thing.
find that at the academy. That was like you can hear the soapbox in me. Right.
Yeah. Oh,
You're not going to find that at the academy. We are purposely making an effort to make sure that if you are a team of one who's burned out, overwhelmed, stressed out, not having any clue what you're trying to focus on or where you're trying to go, we got you. That's why there's so many of us, right? That's why
yeah.
it was like I couldn't do it by myself. I tried to launch a school, God, probably 7, 8 years ago. Melanie tried to
Should
do
we
it
tell
before
everybody
too.
that story? The
Yeah,
origin
go
story
for
of
it.
the Academy? Christina
Woo,
banged
let's
on
do
my
it.
door. Christina found me on social media, as one does. Hello. I am as bright as a highlighter and very sparkly, so come find me on social media. But she found me on social media and she joined all of the stuff that I had at the time. I had like an entrepreneur group and just all this other stuff. And so she's in my world for a little while. And finally, she just messaged me. She's like, I'm broken. I need you to fix me. I don't know what of your things is going to fix me. Can you just, I went, okay, hold on. Let's get you in the 3-month program, which is my only long-term container at the moment. And so we went through coaching. We really got to know each other. We got some really good results for her. This is before I had like programs. Right now, if you work with me, there's specific things that we're going to integrate into your life. And on the last call, we kind of just looked at each other and like, I don't really want to not talk to you anymore. I want to continue speaking to you all the time. And that evolved into, I've really wanted to start an academy for entrepreneurs and women and neurodivergent people, but she was missing the human aspect of it and I was missing the tech aspect of it. So we went, okay, so I guess we're launching an academy now. And we like the term Neuro-Spicy, and that kind of sums it up. And thus launched the past year and a half of our life, if it's not even longer than that by now. But it was really just like, hey, I think you might be like my platonic love business partner moving forward, and I hope you're okay with it, which is cool to me. Because when I was little, I used to find out there was a new kid in my neighborhood. I don't know how. And I would ride my bike or rollerblade over and knock on the door and not even know the kid and be like, hey, can your kid come out and play? And then just assume they were my new best friend. And now looking back on it, there were never any signs I was autistic, ever. Anyways, it's fine. So for me, I just sort of clubbed somebody over the head and say, hey, you're my friend now. That's my history. So it worked for me. And she was just like, okay, that's great. So you'll talk to the people and I'll build the tech. I said, let's go. And, history was made.
Oh man, I love Katina just commented. I remember watching Christina build live on TikTok as she was developing in Gathertown. Yeah. Oh man, I forgot that I even did that. Yeah, we were designing our virtual campus and I was going live on TikTok while I was mapping it out. I had like my whiteboards. I'm like, this is what we're going to do. This is what we want to do with like the classrooms and the library and how we envision this part working and this part working. And yeah, it was great. It's great. Our virtual campus is like one of the biggest things that makes it so much different. Right. And we're about to glow up our virtual campus. I'll be sharing some insights about that on social soon. We're about to transition to a new platform.
Yay, stay tuned.
That's going to have like a little AI assistant that can take notes when you're talking and meeting with people. Everybody will be able to claim a work spot so you can actually sit and work all day, right? If you want to. You have the ability to come and not be alone. Like that's the hardest part about entrepreneurship. And especially even, I know we're kind of bouncing around, but this does relate to the topic of clarity and focus, I promise. Right. When we're sitting here working alone, we don't have somebody to bounce ideas off of. We don't have somebody to help us. And a lot of us are external processors. A lot of neurodivergent people are external processors. We need to talk to other humans to get clarity and focus. Without these two, I would still be super lost. right? Like the conversations, the questions that they asked, the stuff that they made me think about, the like books they had me go read that are like making my mind go like all of the things. Without these two, I would not have gotten to clarity and focus. And one of the coolest parts about campus is you have that, right? You
Yeah.
can go on campus at any time. You can meet up with other students. We don't have to be there. We don't have to open the Zoom room. We don't have to whatever. You can do that whenever you want. Like
Yep.
some people have said that it was helpful even just going to campus because it triggered work mode for their brain, right? Just having that available is such a cool resource. And it was so important to me to be able to create that. So,
Yeah.
man, I can't, that is like so nostalgic. That feels like so long ago. I was on TikTok designing.
I
Now they're
told you
down.
it's good
You know what's
astrology
so
this
funny
week.
too? Oh, go ahead.
I just mean it's good astrology this week. This week is really like our respite from all the work we've been doing, and you really get to enjoy yourself this week. Every transit that's happening this week is really like lovey-dovey, like fuzzy sweater, good shit. So let's all enjoy it. Keep it up. All right. What are you saying, Victoria?
What was I saying? Oh, I was saying that when you have that clarity and focus, you start also seeing the synchronicity. Things start showing up. Opportunities, the right people, the right opportunities start showing up, because if without it,
Yeah.
You're not going to, as some people say, the universe will start to give you things. Of course, it's, I would say it a little bit differently, but synchronicity happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Christina, I don't even remember when, but I was in that stage where I was like, I really need something to do with the earlier stage entrepreneurs, because I know where my genius is best suited. It's just that I wasn't the best to do what Christina does or to do what Melanie does. I mean, Melanie was like the icing on the cake, because I'm like, oh, good, somebody else to take care of that part. But, because I knew that, because I mean, it's important, right? It's important because if your mind won't let you do the work, then you won't do it either. So when you were introduced to me, it was from someone else. I was talking to them and they were like, you need to connect with you. And you were doing something else at the time. You were doing.
I think we met back in like the DM Elite days.
Yeah, we met in the
whatever,
DM
back in that
Elite
mastermind.
group. And you were, because I was talking about, helping, teens, elevate, and become their greatest versions, on that path. And you were doing the superpower to sales at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I knew it was going to
Yeah.
freak it out. And so just hearing that the person connected us, but it was what she was really doing, with the academy that came later in my mind, when we connected. The academy came later.
Yeah.
But you were the actual right person that I needed for something I was trying to figure out, what do I do with?
Yeah.
And poof.
That's one of the biggest tricks for focus too. So I hope people are kind of learning from our interactions as well on this, and how we keep bouncing things back and forth to each other. Like I get to focus on the part that I do well, because Melanie's focusing on the mindset and Victoria's focusing on the people systems, right? So it's like, if I want to get you to 10 case study worthy clients, you have to get prepared to delegate things, right? You have to be able to delegate things. You are not going to get to 10 case study level clients and not delegate any projects to anybody, right? You're going to need some help and support.
Yeah.
You might not have like actual staff, but you're going to have to be able to hand something to somebody and get it done the way you want it done. You're going to have to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It might be hiring a web developer. It might be hiring a logo expert. It might be hiring an automations person. It might be hiring a copywriter, right? You've got a lot of work to do to get to 10 case study level clients. Might even just be an accountant or a bookkeeper, right? Like everybody has to manage their finances. You're going to have to be able to delegate, and you are going to have mindset gremlins that get in your way. And so for me, like I knew I had watched these mindset gremlins tear people down, and I couldn't get them past it, right? Like I was watching really smart, really accomplished, really amazing humans that could do some awesome stuff. And I'm like, I have the whole business plan mapped out for you. Like, will you go build it? Just go build it. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What is happening, right? Like, here's the whole path. Here's everything. Do you need me to go build it I'll go build it for you. And I've even built it. Right? I built the websites. I did all the things, right? I've written entire books for people, because they couldn't do it themselves, right? Like, but like, it still didn't work. They'd start a little bit and be like, okay, cool, I have it now, and then they would just falter, right? So I'm like, I have to solve these problems. I have to solve these problems, but I'm not the one to solve them. So when I found people who could solve them and brought them in, it's like, now I can focus. Now I can actually build the systems that I need to build. Now that doesn't mean you have to partner with people that you don't, give up part of your business, give up part of your profit, that kind of thing. You don't have to do like a full partnership. But if you can even just find people you can refer to, and you can work tightly with that person to make sure that you're in alignment, that you're talking with the same types of clients, that you're talking about the same kind of thing. Like, you hear a lot of similarity in what we're saying when you watch the three of us talk, right? Like, we believe a lot of the same things. We approach it from different ways, but we believe in a lot of the same mission, a lot of the same soapboxes, a lot of the same, like, we'll cheer each other on from, the crowd while you're on your soapbox. Right.
Yeah.
So one of the best ways to focus is to narrow what you're doing and to find other people that can support you and fill in those gaps that your clients need. You don't have to be the expert.
There's a lot of pruning, right? Like, you don't have to delegate. If you're a solo entrepreneur and you're in your first year and you can't hire anybody for anything, you can prune what it is you're doing, right? So if you are not a great writer, but you're great on film, this is me, I'm dyslexic. I don't know what I did before ChatGPT. Christina and I talk about that all the time. I have no idea. It used to take me 3 hours to write an email. I'm not going to spend my time writing blog posts, right? That's not effective use of my time. So when I look at my calendar each week and I go through, my sort of routines that I have that fluctuate based on my energy levels and the weather that's been rainy for 3 weeks, like I'm in Seattle, but it's hot. It doesn't, oh my God, you guys should all give me a real big pat on the back for being here and not calling out, because I got rained on my walk today. My shoes are soaking wet and I wanted my nap so bad. I was like, I'm just going to go lay down, guys. I'm real tired. This weather really makes me like, anyways, we're here. We're having a good time. Sorry. I'm sorry. Just you guys talk without me. Let me go get a soda. I'll be right back.
This is such a big topic for all of us. I kind of knew going in it probably would be, because like clarity and focus has been not just something that we all think is so important, but something we've been fighting for the last couple of weeks to a couple of months. So like it's really near and dear to all of us at this moment. Like, so many soapboxes.
It's so timely. It's so, because the last few weeks it's been like, look.
Yeah. And I didn't plan it this way. I have a whole list of topics. I've got like the next 20 weeks worth of topics kind of mapped out. Right. This one just happened to be the next one in the queue for this week, which is like
synchronicity.
Right. Like, how wild
it needed to happen this week.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Like, something else that came up for me, I forget what we were talking about, but it's been in the back of my head and I've just been repeating it until I say it out loud. So I don't remember where it came from. But the other thing that I know that we talk about a lot is goalposts, right? And people just tend to not even realize when they've ran past them. So one of the things that happens a lot is I'll slow down when, right? I will slow down when it's true. I will slow down when I can finally make enough money to hire an assistant. Right.
Or I'll be happy when
I'm going to challenge you is quantify that. Yeah. Right. Like, if you said I can't slow down until I have an assistant, I want you to quantify that, because you have no idea. Are we like committing to a few weeks of hustle bustle, or are we committing to a few years of hustle bustle? What are we in for? If you don't even know what the salary for an assistant is, if you don't even know what working with an assistant is going to be like, if you don't even know what tasks they can take off of your plate and how long those tasks are taking you now, not a good goal anyway. Not even a good goal anyway. And then I'm going to hand Melanie her soapbox for this one. Because, like, what does it do to you when you're just sitting here waiting until X arrives to do self-care?
Okay. First and foremost, what a lot of us think, okay, well, what I have to do is my life has to calm down and everything has to be peaceful and I have to get rid of all my triggers and all my stresses and whatnot. And then you just become intolerant. Then you just can't handle anything anymore. Then the grocery store becomes too much. Then the client who fires you throws you into, a spiral or something like that. So it's not that you need to wait until everything calms down. And every single person who's ever hired a coach knows this to be true. If you are waiting in the wings on a coach's profile thinking you're going to hire them when XYZ happens, you're never going to hire them and you're never going to grow as fast as your competition is, because life never calms down. I have a client right now who is in the middle of a divorce. I've had clients have family members pass away while they're working with me. I've had clients move cross country while they're working with me. I've worked with people that have gone through all of the big major shifts in life, because the only constant in life is change. So I did also hear, though, something that made me feel really better, and I posted on my Instagram today, and I think that it'll really resonate with what we're talking about with the clarity and the focus, right? Meaning, can you follow through all the time? Can you bring your idea into fruition? Can you launch from start to finish? All that sort of stuff. And we always, we really beat ourselves up for not being habitual with good things, right? And it's that Neuro-Spicies don't have habits, we have streaks. So according to that, we're all killing it, right? I can look back on my past. We've had streaks all over the place. And obviously, if you're a runner, you don't run forever and never rest. You run for the length of time, or you walk for the length of time, and then you rest. So that makes life a lot more easy, and it makes business a lot easier to build if you're just thinking about, okay, what's in this next streak? Are we going to go fast? Are we going to go slow? How much are we going to enjoy ourselves? Because if you're waiting, we see this with clients all the time. If you're waiting till you hit 30K months to start celebrating yourself, unless you're actively celebrating every little thing up until that moment, you're not building the skill of celebrating yourself. And it's a skill, just like riding a bike, just like marketing, just like copywriting, just like dyeing your hair. It's a skill that you can cultivate and get better at. You're not just magically going to hit a milestone and know how to celebrate yourself. That doesn't happen. So you have to start celebrating all the little tiny things that you're actually doing now, so that when the 30K month or the 100K month or the $1 million month comes, you're able to celebrate it. Most of us just blow by all those milestones because we just go, oh, that's good. What's next? You really got to get good at taking care of yourself, because that is a form of celebration, right? Today I signed a new client, so my husband and I are going to go out to eat, or my ritual when I sign a 6-month client is that I go get a new purse. But there's a Marshall's right down the road from me, so it's not my fault. Anyways, really think about what makes you feel good. Self-care makes you feel good. And if you're not feeling good, then you're not living on planet Earth right.
Yeah. I mean, think about like if you're sick, how little work you can get done, right? Like think about when you're sick, how productive can you be? And if you're burned out, stressed out, overworked, you are a level of sick all of the time. Right?
Yeah.
All of the time. You are not your most productive self. You're dealing with a little bit of a headache. You're dealing with not quite enough energy and being a little bit more tired. You're dealing with a little bit more brain fog. Like, you know how we all feel when we feel a sickness coming on, right? Like you're like, oh, I might be getting a little something. I don't quite feel myself. That is how you're existing every freaking day. You've just got so used to it, you don't realize it.
Right.
Right? Like
You
it
get
is
sick.
insane. It's not like I magically woke up and I have more energy now than I did a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I worked my ass off for it. Right?
Yeah.
By not working my ass off. That's how I worked my ass off.
Yeah.
I had to change. Had to change
Well, you remember that moment. You remember the moment when I told you, because I have to tell every single one of my clients this, we ain't the type of girls that just wake up feeling good. We have to work at it to get our body and our brain to feel good. And that's a shitty realization. And I learned it in my 20s, where I woke up and I went, oh, so like all these girls that I see on social media that are like, I'm great. It's because they're taking really good care of themselves. We don't have that setting as neurodivergent people. I'm not a good sleeper, right? I don't like brushing my teeth. I find it really, really annoying and overstimulating. So I'm going to stay up late, and then I'm going to procrastinate getting ready in the morning. And I'm okay with that, because we're fed a lie in our society that you're just going to wake up and, the Disney animals are going to bring you your robe and somebody's going to make you your eggs and you're going to sing a little lullaby. It's just not the case. You have to actively work at feeling good.
Yeah. Oh, that is so true. And it's like when we're watching these influencers sharing their days, and this happens in entrepreneurial influencer world too, right? The 5 a.m. startup routine where they get up and they cold plunge and they journal and they meditate and they read a book and they run, like by the time the kids are awake and the wife is awake and whatever, it's so glorious. And I'm like, I would have no energy left for the rest of my day halfway through your morning routine.
Mm-mm.
I don't know how you're doing it. I don't know how you're waking up being like, I'm going to tackle the day. Huh? And that is not their everyday. They're sharing it on the days that they feel good and it helped them. They're not sharing it on the days where it took all of their energy and they laid in bed for the rest of the day.
Also,
Which is
don't
okay,
take
by the
advice.
way. It's okay
If
that
you
they
are
do
the
that,
wife,
they just don't share that side, which is not
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Don't take advice from somebody who has a wife if you are the wife. Take advice from somebody who is the wife. Okay? Because if I had a wife, everything would be different. But I don't. I got a husband. I love him. God bless him. Don't think I would trade him in for anything. But I'm not going to take advice from somebody. There's a creator on TikTok. He's pretty big. And I believe that he means well, but he's an expert in PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and one of my many alphabet soup ingredients that I'm diagnosed with. And he's an expert and he's like a coach and all this stuff. And every time one of his videos pops up on my FYP because TikTok wants me to follow him, I just go, I'm not interested in getting information about my body that only applies to female bodies from a dude. Don't care. I don't care, buddy. I'm sure you know a lot, but that's not for me. I want to learn from somebody who has similar experiences because then I can figure out what their motives are. It just feels weird to me. I feel the same way about male gynecologists. I don't get it. I don't get it. No, thank you, sir. You don't know what you're talking about down there. I'm going to go to this lady doctor. Bye. But that could just be me.
She's feeling good today, y'all.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, she came in with like the flawless look going on too. I'm over here looking like a gremlin because I'm going like helping my husband with a landscape project after this.
Yeah.
So I want to get out of the house.
I have to make my videos today. I'm making videos for my new course. So I decided to go headband list. Ugh, everything's so loud.
That's what's different. No,
I was wondering.
Like, there's something. There's something popping.
Your hair is not headbandless. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You think I'd recognize that by now because I'm the one that recommended the headband. I saw her in the headbandless state pre-headband. So
pre-headband. That's a mile marker for some people in their life and business. Pre-headband.
That is a good point, though. Like not taking advice from people. I mean, that's we have to look at, and that's like such a soapbox for me that I love. Because like a lot of times when we're looking at somebody and they're talking about all of the things that work for them and they're talking about how amazing all this stuff is, A, it didn't happen overnight. It did not happen overnight. And B, they have things in their life that you do not. Right. So if somebody's sitting here doing something like they ran these ad campaigns that were able to surface up the best things and they put like $100 at this and the blah, blah, blah. If you don't have a couple $100 to throw away on ads to see what's going to work, that strategy doesn't work for you. Right. They have teams running their ads. If you don't know how to run ads, not likely to work as well for you. Right. They have teams helping them with their stuff. They have people helping them around their house. Right. Somebody's telling you their ideal morning routine and they're not the ones doing the grocery shopping. They're not the ones doing the meal planning. They're not the ones packing the kids' lunches. They're not the ones getting the kids ready for, work for school every day. They're not the ones who stayed up until midnight doing laundry because the kids didn't have clean clothes for school the next day. Right. Like they're getting up at 5 a.m. and spending 2 or 3 hours taking care of themselves when they have a supportive partner at home that isn't even spending 20 minutes taking care of themselves.
Right.
Right. So it's like understanding what is going on in somebody else's world that is contributing to why this thing works for them. Right. Does not necessarily mean it's going to work for you. You cannot blatantly just take tactics and say, here we go. Right. Like I'm just going to plug and play that. And if I change it, it'll break it. Right. Or don't ever listen to a coach or somebody who says, because you changed it just a little, that's the reason it didn't work. Right. That might be true, but ask questions. Right. Make them.
I mean, how many times do you see somebody, and I do this all the time. I scroll Instagram literally just to find people's freebies. And so that I want to see what your freebie is. And then I want to see where your email nurture series is. I'm nosy, right? And I take a lot of notes. So the more things I consume, the more notes I make and the bigger I can grow. So I'll go through Instagram, and this happens as part of my monthly cycle. So it must have to do with hormones. Anyways, I'll be scrolling Instagram and I'll buy everybody's little $5, $22 or $0 thing. And then I'll be taking notes on the entire process. So it's like, all right, what platform brings me my thing? How many emails did this person send me? What's going on here? La, 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 la. And we can really start taking advice from somebody. I remember a couple of years ago, before I met you, I did a group coaching program launch based on these emails that made this woman have $1 million launch. And I was like, well, that's fucking great. Let me use your emails. Let me turn them into mine. But her email list was like a 500,000. My email list was
Exactly.
500, right? You're not going to get the same results. Plus, when you're in your first 3 years of entrepreneurship, you can't handle a $200,000 launch. You can't support that sort of stuff. So you really have to look at, like Christina says, the guardrails and the goalposts. What is really going to happen for you and what can you do? Because right now, Christina says this all the time. Could you handle 10 new clients this week? Could you onboard all of them? Could you support all of them? Absolutely not, right? And ads aren't going to work for you if your messaging isn't dialed in. And if you don't know exactly who it is that you help and what you help them do, then you can't, I mean, you can get other people's processes, but like Victoria said, you're going to have to modify it. You're really going to have to modify it.
These like massive marketing engines because they're watching those creators, like you said. They're like, we need to do these big launches. We need to be on social media all the time. We need to be doing blah, 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 blah. Like, there's like 1,000 things that they're all saying. And that's exactly the point, right? Like if that engine worked at even 20% capacity, what people are saying it has the ability to, could you even handle it?
Exactly.
And like, I kid you not, I asked that question to almost everybody, and probably 80-90% of the time the answer is no.
Yeah.
Why are we spending that much time building it then? Well, I don't know what else to do. Talk to people.
Do it.
You talk to people.
Know, and I'm one of those people who can execute those type of launches. But what did I tell you? We need a list size of at least this amount if you want this result.
Yeah.
You know,
the numbers game.
And it's not that we'll never be able to do that. It's that we have this work to do first. We have to build the list first. So let's do email list building strategies.
And
because you get stronger while you do it.
If you're like me, you don't like, I don't need to go in the marketing merry-go-round, what I call it, the marketing merry-go-round. I'm only doing 2, max 3 clients at a time. I don't need to build this big marketing engine. And if you're wired like me, to get that, I could do it with a whole lot less. So listening to all of those people, it works for my clients because I'm doing, supporting them in their marketing. But for me, it's not going to work for me because then I'll have all of this, because I know I can get the business. Why am I going to go out and build this? Now I'm doing it more now because I want to share the knowledge and information, but it's not for the purpose of trying to get clients because I mean, there will be a wait list for forever, but it's one of those things when you understand who you are, then you will know, okay, then that's not going to work for me. That strategy. Why build a list of of 1 million people?
Yeah, who you are and where you are. Like
you can only take 2
in your business. You can't support this, so
I can't support it. And this is what I am built to do. Is what I love to do, and it's what I want to do. So it's not like I'm following somebody else's strategies. Don't ask me how long it took me to get to this point. However, it took a long time.
It's an embarrassing number of years. It's an embarrassing number of years.
And it's embarrassing. it's embarrassing, but it's also like with my archetype, there are not a lot of, we're not out there. So there's not examples to see. Mine is always behind the scenes, which we love. But that means that you don't have those examples to anchor yourself to say, okay, I like what this person is doing. And this is the example, because they're always behind the room running somebody else's vision. And that takes all of the time and energy. And so you don't have time to go out because you're so busy in that. But if that is who you are, your marketing or your strategy of building your empire is going to be very different.
Yeah. I mean, that is like such a key point too. Like you for a fact you only want 2 to 3 clients at a time. There are so many strategies. We've sat here and, went back and forth on different ones that would allow you to take a lot more clients at one time. And you're like, I don't want to. Not right now.
Yeah.
Not anytime real soon. This is what I'm doing. Right. And that's, it's so key. Right. Like I know we've talked about this a little bit before too, but like Melanie had a similar experience with her group coaching program. Right. Everybody out there tells you if you're a coach and you're at capacity in your one-on-ones, This is how you make more money. This is how you have more impact. This is how you help more people. You do group coaching. And it didn't take her too long to figure out, I don't like this. They don't like this. This isn't working.
Yeah.
Right. And we were able to quantify it, not just in her feelings, but in like, how many people are in here? What are they paying? How long do they stay? How many people can you realistically support? When you start running all of those numbers, the only way it starts getting super profitable is when you charge more than you're comfortable charging, right? Like the whole point in doing it was to make something lower cost so that, you know, people who couldn't afford the one-on-ones went down into the group, right? So that was part of the thinking. It did not take long. It was like, what, 10 minutes of running the numbers, and you're like, that explains some things on like why I don't like this and why I'm not enjoying it and why people aren't getting the results from it, right? Because they're not as invested in it and it wasn't working as well, right?
Yeah.
So, and it was a clarity focus thing a little bit too.
My thought last week, I'm like, okay, if that, and I want to have the biggest impact, then I need to focus on people that align with my, focus on helping, like, you know, we're aligned on our vision, the values and everything, but they already have the audience. So that is a point for me to look at the ones that already have the audience, right? Because I'm probably not going to be spending a whole lot of time trying to build it, but I still want the impact, but I impact through that.
Yeah.
Through making sure
about like launches for people that might be struggling to follow along on that conversation. Victoria is really good at the Jeff Walker PLF style launches. So one of the ways she works with, you know, creative entrepreneurs, people like that, as a second in command, is helping them execute these launches that help level them up to the next level in their business. But there's prerequisites to that, right? Like what we were just saying earlier, if somebody has a list of 500,000 versus 500, right? They just work differently. You'd still maybe get some clients out of a list of 500, but not the same as a list of 500,000. So Victoria set some like bare minimum requirements that her clients need to meet. And we were talking about this at the beginning of the show too, right? For why a lot of the people that the Academy serves get rejected or don't see benefit in a lot of these other programs because of prerequisites like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get the result from that without certain things being true. These strategies just do not work the same way, to the point that it's not worth doing. Right. If you're going to, launches are big, they're involved. There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of processes. There's a lot of timing that has to be executed correctly. There's a lot of moving parts. And if you don't have the team to help, if you don't have the list to generate the things, if you don't have ad budget to throw into it, like, it's just not going to work that way.
You know, in the larger launches, you don't get larger launches without a team.
Yeah.
You can do up to a certain amount. Those other ones, those smaller launches, you can do by yourself. The larger launches require a team. I've never done it without a team. My team helps bring this together.
Even the fulfillment side of it, like if you saw
exactly
that a little bit too, because people like to say like, oh, it's just a course. The fulfillment is next to nothing, next to no people hours to sell the course, right? So let me sell a course. If you ran a launch and you got 200 people to buy this course, what does that mean for fulfillment on the team?
Now, I always calculate that up front, you know, so I know, and I do it in a way that it's the least, but it really depends on the business model, right? For the Academy, because we have multiple mentors and we are so much more high touch than other programs, it's different. It's very different. So I have to factor in all of that stuff before, but again, there still is a team. There's still team involvement.
Even low touch courses that don't have as much like human component as we have at the Academy, even a low touch course, you're dealing with support requests, you're dealing with login issues, you're dealing with, I couldn't get the video to play, or I didn't watch any of it, I don't like it, it's been like 6 months, can I get a refund? Right? Like you're dealing with so much of that. It's not like you're going to take 200 clients onto a course and think I have no work to do.
Right.
It's not gonna happen. All right. So if anybody's sitting here saying, oh, well, I could take like 10 clients, 20 clients, 30 clients in a week because it's just a course, you still have work to do.
You know,
Wait until you get those support requests after doing that one time.
Why that's important? Because when you get those, you know what your capacity is. You know, when you're focusing on that, because I'm gonna tell you one thing is I have not met a creator yet that had good gauge on anything. Now, I'm not saying they're not out there, but the time, energy, resources, every time they tell me something, I'll multiply. I don't ask, like I ask you all, how long this take, and then I'll multiply it times 4. You know, because I know
most people do times 2. Now, she used to say, y'all could probably go back to previous episodes here. She used to say times 2. She's been working with
times
me for
3.
a little while now, and now it's times 4.
the metric.
No, 2 was always too low. It was 3 or 4.
I have a standard breaker. Woo!
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you're dealing with some extra neurodivergence, you might need to add a little bit more time to that.
Oh, that was fantastic.
But you're safe, fairly safe. I add in those buffers. So I don't ask because I think it's going to take this much time. I'm asking to see how much time you think it's going to take.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, then I need to factor that in. And this is going to take, she's like, oh, I can do it in 8 hours. Okay, that's going to be 4 days. You know?
2 weeks.
8 hours.
Not only that, 4 days,
that done today. Translation
another
next
team
week.
member is not going to do it in that time frame, most probably.
Yeah, that too.
So it's a lot of moving parts going in my head when I ask a question. I'm usually asking it. It usually has a lot of different, you know, I mean, there's a lot more context.
I lost
that
track
go in
after
there.
the 4.
Contact.
Yeah, it has a lot more.
You know, Victoria, this might help you too when you're breaking things down with your clients, because this is something that I have to say with my clients in our first call, right? Whether in my 6-month program or you're in my 4-week program, one of the things I have to say is I'm going to ask you questions and I need you to answer the question I ask, not the question you think I'm trying to get at. Because fortunately for you, I'm very direct, and I'm also, as an intuitive, getting some messages to clarify with you. So if I ask you, how many followers do you have on Instagram? I don't want you to impress me and be like, oh, well, it's 15,000, but it should have been answer what I ask. And if I need clarification, I will ask for clarification. But we get stuck like in the cycle of like, well, this is why I did it. And this is why I'm in this situation, right? And I saw a girl once say, she goes, I hired a makeup artist so that I could like get better at makeup. And I started telling the makeup artist, oh, well, this is what I usually do. And the makeup artist just stopped her and said, I don't need you to tell me how you do it wrong for me to tell you how to do it right. And now when I go into coaching and people are like, well, this is what's happening, I don't need to know what's happening. I'm pretty sure I know why you're where you're at. I know why you came to me. And if you need a clarification, you ask me. And if I need clarification, I'll ask you. But let's just promise to be direct as fuck as we move together, right? Like, just don't assume what I'm asking, because I'm not that girl. I'm asking what I want to know.
Oh, yeah.
I love
That's
that.
a good one. Like, our trauma stuff shows up in ways that doesn't always make sense. Doesn't always make sense at all.
Let me tell you, this was another soapbox. I know we're over time, but
I'm liking it. Let's go.
Do it.
The trauma in the earlier stages, you're bringing all of that until you have gotten to the point where you step away. This has been, I have, never mind. I'm not going to say that. Anyway, levels like 1 to 3, anytime the business is revolving around you, meaning if you stop, the business stops. That's good. If you can't step away and the business still run, then you're at this stage. Okay. So I had a discussion with my colleague and former coach, and we were talking about the drama that comes, because we're not only dealing with the business aspects and growth, we're dealing with all of their trauma that comes with it, because the business is all centered around you as the entrepreneur. So you bring all of that baggage until you get over that hurdle, which is a big hurdle to get to. And the team is running it. And now it's not as dependent, it's not as, now the business has its own identity. It's, it can run without you. So the drama and all of the other stuff, the trauma is not as potent when the founder or whatever is a little bit more removed. I get so much more done.
Yeah.
Even in the earliest, I get so much more done. It's like, can you please just go somewhere and let me do what I need to do? Because you come
Yeah.
back and now you throw everybody else off, and I gotta be the buffer between you and the team. And when you go on vacation, it's like everybody's like, not you, I'm just talking about. It's like, it would be so
Yeah.
nice. It was
Oh,
like
I
this
know
all the
my
time.
team celebrated when I go on vacation. I know over the years, every team I've had, if I was busy doing something else, if I was going to leave early for the day to do something with the kids or, you know what, I know there was secret celebrations and enhanced productivity while I was gone. I don't take it personal. That's goals.
Yeah.
That's goals. When the business actually runs better without you than it is with you, yes, score.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of they've wanted that. But whew,
I mean, that's when you get to go play and do other things and have, hobbies and fun and, go goof off, go launch new things, right? Like leave the other things alone. Go over here and do something else. Go partner with somebody else. Go do something else. Leave the very smart people you put in charge over here alone.
yeah, and that's the problem when it comes back over here. Oh, look what I've decided to do. Now everybody is doing this. Like what?
Yeah.
We're doing this.
It's like when your husband had a day off and you come home and it's like, first thing he says is, guess what I did today? And you're like, oh no. And the kid's like, Mom, guess what I did in my room today? Oh God. No, thank you. I don't want to guess.
I don't want to know. I don't know. Just wait,
like,
is this going to require me to get mad, have to do more work, or
Yeah.
I don't
No.
Yeah,
No.
that's such a good point too. That it's like your trauma and your impact on the business. If you're feeling right now like you're a bottleneck and that you're holding the business back, it's probably true. For one, for one, it's probably true. There's probably a reason. Melanie can help you figure that out and get through a lot of the mindset gremlins that are sneaking up and eating all your success without you realizing it. They really like to eat success. They're hungry little gremlins. That everything good. All right. So like work through that, get past it, get with Victoria, build up a team, start getting people in place underneath you so that you're not the bottleneck on your business anymore. So important. And really understand, like, if somebody keeps telling you something over and over again and you keep disagreeing with it, like people told me I was a perfectionist over and over again. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Watch me hang a shelf. You'll see. My husband will tell you I'm not even remotely trying to hang that the right way and perfectionisting and all of it. I will ship stuff half done. I will send out emails with typos and not even like, I'm not a perfectionist. There's no freaking way. But started reading the book Victoria told me to read. When your partners give you homework, do it. And talking with Chat GPT while I'm reading it for the things that I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I kind of think maybe people tell me this a lot. How does this show up? And it starts giving me examples. It's like perfectionism shows up like big picture thinking. Excuse you? It does what now? Because yes, I'm definitely a big picture thinker. I think 10, 20, 30 years in the future, I live there. That's where I live. When I do your business plan, I know where you're going to be in 10, 20 years.
Drives me freaking nuts.
That's a word.
Not a clue all of the steps that are going to get you there. I have some thoughts. I have how to get you started, but like that was what I was doing with the academy, right? I never, if you told me I'm a perfectionist, I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a big picture thinker. I know what the academy is going to be, which means I don't know what it is right now.
Yeah. That's the problem.
I had
Because
to
I'm like,
figure
okay,
that out.
we're here today. So, in 20 years, I might be dead because of you.
Let us remember. Let us remember that self-sabotage is your attempt at controlling the outcome.
Yeah.
Self-sabotage is your subconscious brain saying the only way that I can make sure I know how this works out is if I fuck it up.
Melanie's hitting today.
You should see my notebook. I saw so many good things
ready
today.
to go, right? Like she woke up today being like, oh.
Swinging.
I know she's. I don't know what Wheaties you had this morning, but I need them.
I was literally walking in this much rain with a tiny umbrella trying to keep my phone dry for 2 miles today. I was like, okay, I guess this is the universe teaching me how to be in the present moment, because I definitely can't scroll and walk right now. So I had to like be with my thoughts for 2.5 miles and an overstimulated state because I couldn't prevent the rain from hitting me. And I'm going to have to throw those sneakers into the dryer. So, no, I mean, it's great. When do you think like this, what happened to me on my walk today will be a pivotal moment that I can refer back to moving forward. Like that was definitely an experience that,
And it didn't discourage you from your walking. I think like
No.
if we want to learn from you in real time, watching your reaction to, I got rained on for 2 miles, my shoes are wet, I was overstimulated, I couldn't do what I normally do. Most people would have been like, and this is why I didn't want to start walking in the first place. That would have been most people's reaction to that moment. Like, you know, because it's raining for 3 weeks there in Florida. You've been walking every day almost, like, and that's been a big part of your self-care. It's a big part of what you're doing.
Mhm.
Most people would have said, and this is why I said it wouldn't work. But you're like, no, I get to wash my shoes, and it's going to be a pivotal moment in my story, and I got to spend a little bit of time alone with my thoughts. Like,
and I got it in.
Yeah,
Didn't
I got it done.
What was out of my control take, because, you know, I would have been like, oh, rain, not going out.
And showed up on camera looking glamorous and ready to slap us with all these big epiphany thought, break my brain thought things that she's doing, right? So this is it too. Don't just learn from what people say, learn from what they do, learn from how they're sharing their stories, learn from what you can tell they've went through to get to that point. Right. And even better, learn from all three of us on campus where you're not just listening at us, you're actually talking with us, and we can talk about your business instead of just sharing all the stories about ours. It's even better.
That's great.
And the free trial is turned back on. The language is not turned back on. So if you go to sign up, it doesn't say it. There is a 2-week free trial on the website. I will fix the messaging soon. So you can head over to neurospicyacademy.com and join us so that we can actually help you with your business and break through the roadblocks and the things that are holding you back so that you can get to those first 10 case study level clients that you enjoy and they get the result. And see, we know what our mission is. When we have clarity and focus, we're able to do much better pitches into what we're trying to do. So head over to neurospicyacademy.com. Join us. We'll see you over on campus. And then, for now, have a good day, y'all. And we'll see you here at Wired next week.